Hello and welcome to another match preview, this time previewing Blues' trip away to Reading at the Select Car Leasing Stadium. I'm your host Sam Sheppy, and thank you for everybody that has sent me messages of support in my absence. I was away for personal reasons over the last week, as well as getting a nasty bout of gastroenteritis. So thank you so much for everybody that sent over their messages. And in my absence, there was two wins, which is fantastic to see and certainly made me feel better as we beat Charlton Athletic 1-0 and also recorded that 2-1 victory against Bradford City in the Virtue Trophy. It was fantastic to see Tommy's vlog after that game, as well as his match reaction, as well as it really encapsulated what the Blues fans are thinking and feeling at the moment in our 31st win of the season, which is just absolutely phenomenal to say. And up next is Reading, who we actually took on in the opening day of the season long time ago in August, and it was a 1-1 draw that day with Alfie May scoring a decisive penalty to, I guess, maintain our unbeaten home record, because up until that point, things have been a bit shaky, obviously coming off the back of that championship season where we did actually win 10 league games at home in the championship. But ever since then, I mean, we haven't even lost a league game at home, which has just been phenomenal. And yeah, we've only dropped 6 points at home as well. So yeah, next up for us is Reading at their place. And Reading this season are actually ninth. Noel Hunt is their manager. They had a different manager when we played them at the start of the season. It was Ruben Sellers in charge then, who has since moved on to Hull City. But Reading legend Noel Hunt is now the guy in charge. They're only 4 points off the playoffs, which is phenomenal to see, because I suppose the financial difficulties and off-field stuff that they've had to navigate, and they've got one of the youngest teams in League One as well. So fair play to them, because they had a really tough January as well. They lost all four games they played in January since New Year's Day, and also now in February they've carried on a good run of form. So next for them, they're really looking forward to this game, I suppose, against the league leaders. And we spoke to Alex from Elm Park Royals to get the lowdown on what the Reading fans are thinking ahead of this game, the thoughts on the season so far, and also thoughts regarding the future as well.
So far this season for Reading on the pitch has been reasonably good. We sit inside the top 10, which I think most people would have expected to maybe be slightly lower down. We have dropped down in recent months since Sellers left and Noel Hunt took charge. But I don't think it's necessarily a case of we are now underperforming. It's probably more a case of we were slightly overperforming earlier in the season on the pitch, and now we're coming back down to perhaps where we are more closely matched with teams in mid-table. Off the pitch, once again, it's been a bit of a disaster. Multiple sale agreements have collapsed with the club, and we are still selling players to be able to afford to keep the lights on at the moment, with Sam Smith having left in January to Wrexham for a reported £2 million, and Tyler Bendon, who is probably one of the league's best young centre-backs, being sold to Nottingham Forest for reportedly less than £1 million with 6 months left on his deal, which is very unfortunate for us. Although he's been loaned back to us for the rest of the season, it's difficult really at the moment to kind of envisage much in the way of a future for anybody at the club, because there's only, I think, 5 or 6 contracted players for next summer so far, after next summer. So I guess we'll see where we end up, but at the moment it's off the pitch it's a bit of a disaster still, really. In terms of Birmingham City this season, earlier this season I went up to the game at St Andrews. I was probably less impressed then than I expected to be. I don't think that's maybe that surprising, given that you were still in the midst of obviously signing players, and it was Chris Davies' first game in charge and things like that. It was, I think we probably caught you at the right time in terms of being able to play you, and we were probably unfortunate, I think, not to win that game. Despite the kind of dominance on the ball, I don't think we necessarily conceded that many chances. I think it was a close game, competitive game, and I would probably expect it to be a tougher game this weekend, given the fact that you've now obviously had 5 or 6 months of being able to pick up a squad and move into a bit of a momentum stride, as it were. I think the game will probably be quite competitive. I think Birmingham City's quality will probably shine through, though, at some point during the game. Reading have struggled to really stop teams from creating chances, although they're not conceding that many goals in the last month. We are conceding chances still, and I would expect that Alfie May or Lyndon Dykes will probably end up getting on the end of one or two of them. And, I think we'll see the difference as Reading fans between playing a team like Birmingham versus playing a team, like Huddersfield, who are not on form currently and struggling to score goals. And I think we will probably end up losing 2-0. But if we can keep the game competitive, I think that's maybe the thing which most Reading fans will be hoping for tomorrow. I don't think many Reading fans will be going expecting us to get a point or 3 points particularly. In terms of where we'll finish this season, it's a difficult one. I said last week on our podcast that I think we actually have a good chance to win the playoffs, and I think, although I've just said we'll lose 2-0 this weekend to you, I think when you look at the remainder of our fixtures, we only have 2 more teams left to play inside the top half after this weekend, and they're both it's against Wrexham and Wycombe. But outside of those 3 games, we've got 13 or 14 games, I think, against teams in the bottom half of the table. So I would be hopeful that we can actually put a really decent run of results together at the end of the season and produce something where we end up finishing maybe 6th. That's kind of the hope. So yeah, I'm going to say we'll finish 6th, and then we'll have to just see in the playoffs. We don't tend to fare very well in them, so it's not one where I'm particularly excited for if we get there, but definitely we'll have the hope if we do get there.
So that was Alex there speaking about Reading, and in terms of the Birmingham City team news, it's nice to hear that Jay Stansfield's injury isn't as bad as what we thought, because there's no bone or ligament damage after he sustained that challenge, which should have been a penalty against Bradford. But it will be Alfie May or Lyndon Dykes to deputise up front. And funny enough, actually, when we played Reading on the first day of the season, Stansfield wasn't there because he hadn't signed for us yet. He was still at Fulham. So it'll be Alfie May or Lyndon Dykes to deputise up front. And if Lyndon Dykes shows any prowess like he did in the air for that Bradford game, I'm sure we're going to get a couple of goals in this game. And I'm going to go for 2-0 victory for Birmingham this time around, with Lyndon Dykes getting a goal, as well as Kieran Dow, someone that's been really impressive for Birmingham and made an instant impact ever since he signed for Rangers in January. And Chris Davis seems to like Dow quite a lot because he plays a lot of minutes in the games that he does feature in, and getting regular starts too. So yeah, I'm going to go with Dowell and Dykes to score in a 2-0 victory at Reading. And in terms of our record against Reading in the Championship, I remember we beat them 6-1 at St Andrews, going back some way. I was actually at that game, a fantastic one to watch. But to all the Blue Noses that are travelling to the game, I wish you a safe travel, and I'm sure we'll have videos going out after the Reading game as well. And hopefully I'm feeling in tip-top shape to be able to do more of these match previews, because I'd love to do so, and I love hearing what you guys have to say in the comments and on social media too. So if you like this video, please feel free to like, share, comment and subscribe, and most importantly, keep right on.